Okay. Good evening, everyone. So today I am your student teacher. My name is Gryzel from BSED English 4A. Are you ready for our lesson for today? Aren't you excited?
Yes po, ready po.
Thank you. Okay, let's start. Okay. So before we start for our lesson proper, first, what do you think or what can you say about the picture you've seen in your screen? Anyone from the group? You can turn on your mic and use your chat box if you want to. Anyone?
Ako po, ma'am.
Okay, yes, Keanu. Right? Keanu ba? Okay. From Rosemary Ann. Yes, they have different ibang estado sa buhay, different ethnicity, different people from different country, race and ethnicity. Okay, let's hear from Joselle. She's raising her hand.
Ma'am, I think po iba't ibang klase po ng mga yung mga local group po.
Yes, very good. They are from different local group. So, different cultures, different people from different country. Okay, all your answers were correct. So, this is related to our lesson for today, which is diversity or cultural diversity. First, let us define what is culture. Okay? So, culture. Letter C stands for COLERE. COLERE, culture derives from the Latin word colere, means cultivate, nurture, or tend to the earth and grow. So, as we can see that culture derives from the Latin word colere, which means to grow, to cultivate, and to nurture. The next would be letter U. Letter U stands for understanding. We study culture to understand their beliefs. Why do we need, in your own opinion, why do we need to understand their own beliefs? Why do we need to understand the beliefs of others?
Ma'am,
Yes, Catherine?
Para po magkaroon po ng pag pagkakaintindihan,
Yes, you're right.
pagrespeto.
Hello po.
Hello, yes, continue.
Ako po. Hello po, ma'am.
Yes?
Para po maunawaan natin yung mga bagay na ginagawa nila sa ginagawa natin.
Yes, thank you, Rosemary. Very good. Of course, we need to understand one another for us to, even though we have different culture, even though we came from different countries, understanding make brought us together. It helped us to understand one another. Now let's proceed to letter L. Letter L stands for language. Language is the medium of communication in which communication is the exchange of information and meaning. Next, letter T. Letter T stands for tradition and traits. Tradition describes the group's beliefs and behaviors that are passed down from one generation to other, while traits is a distinguishing quality. So as you can see, in culture, we also study what tradition and traits of different person or group of person. Next would be letter U. Letter U for unites. According to Anastasia O. Russia, sorry about that. According to Anastasia O. Russia, that culture unites the people. Do you believe in that? Anyone from the group? Are you raising your hand, Rosemary?
Ma'am, ano po ulit yung question po, ma'am?
Okay. My question is that according to Anastasia O. Russia, that the culture unites the people. Do you believe in that? Do you believe that culture unites people?
Yes po, ma'am.
Yes, Kiano. Why?
Kasi po, yung culture po, siya po yung nagiging main branch po sa lahat-lahat po ng entity po sa isang society or in this world po. Bali po, siya po yung magiging network kung paano malaman natin yung mga history or even yung mga sinabi niyo po, yung mga language ng iba't iba para malaman po um, malaman po natin na tama po yung mga sinasabi natin sa iba pong may ibang tao na may iba't iba rin pong culture.
Yes, very good. Just like what Kiano said, that Kiano, right, Kiano? Okay, just what Kiano
Opo.
said, that it bring us together, it unite us. It like what we like in the earlier meaning, culture make us understand one another. Yes, according to the chat box, they Joshua said that understanding other culture is signs of respect. Yes, it's really signs of a respect. Okay? So, culture unites us. Culture bring us together. Culture help us to understand one another for us to become one. The next letter R. R stands for religion. Why do you think religion is part of the culture, or why do you think religion is in? Yes, Joshua Platero.
Sa tingin ko po, yung culture po, part po ng religion. Kasi po, dati pa po, meron na pong yung mga katutubong Pilipino po, meron na po silang kani-kanilang pananampalataya o yung mga sinasamba po nila. So, sa isip ko po, naging part po yung religion sa culture dahil yun na po yung meron na po, nag-exist na po ang religion nung kahit pa po nung nakaraan pa pong generation.
Yes, very good. As you can see, religion, same with unites and understands, it brought us together. Meaning to say, religion brought their believers together and separate them from their non-believers. Like in culture, same culture, they unite, they bring, they were gathered all together. While the other people or group of people have their own culture, is also separate from them. Did you get it? And do you have any questions? Religion is a way to adhere to achieve consensus. Yes. Very good. Culture help us. Okay. According to Arlene, yes, culture help us to know the interest between people and groups that will make them unite with each other. According to Harvey, yes, culture make us stronger and unite us. According to Vanessa, we need to know that what culture is to know what kind of people is living in there and how they can approach them. All your answers were correct. Like what I've said earlier, that we have different religion based on the country or based on their beliefs. Same with culture. In culture, we have different culture based on the country or based on the group of people they belong. Okay? So the last would be letter E. Letter E stands for experiences. Why do you think experiences is part of it? Why do you think experience is part of religion? Yes, Mark and Hilario?
May iba't ibang pong paraan po kasi ng pagsamba at saka may mga iba't ibang sinasamba po bawat religion.
Yes, you're right. That in every culture, also in every culture, and in every religion, there are different beliefs. We have, like what they've said, we have one creator according to them, but they were calling them, or they giving them names on that one creator depends on how, on their beliefs, or depends on their religion. Okay, let's go back to the experiences. Culture is defined by experiences or schemata. Our experience is part of our culture. Like what in tradition, in the definition of tradition, we've mentioned earlier that tradition is passed through by generation. Same with the experience. As we can see, those experience, we adapt those experiences in every place we go, in every people we've met. Those experiences became part of us. It is same with the culture. Did you get my point?
Yes po, ma'am.
Okay, thank you, Geraldine. So, do we have any questions about the definition of culture? Questions? If you don't have questions, then we will move to the next slide. Okay. Okay, none?
None po.
Thank you, Geraldine. Okay, let's proceed to the next slide. The next slide is culture and co-culture. So what would be the definition, or what would be the difference between culture and co-culture? Uh, Anyone, please read from the group.
Ako
Ma'am,
Yes, Aliyah.
Okay, ma'am. Culture and co-culture. Co-culture is a group whose values, beliefs, or behaviors set it apart from the larger culture, which is a part of and with which is share many similarities.
Okay, thank you. How about culture? Anyone? The second.
Ma'am.
Yes, Geraldine.
Cultures may comprise many subjects, and these co-cultures may thrive within them.
Okay. So culture and co-culture, based on our definition, that culture is composed of co-culture. Meaning to say, co-culture, those are the smaller group of people. They were smaller group of people living in one specific area or one specific country. Like for us, like in Philippines, we were known for being hospitable, right? So that's our culture. But when we go down or when we meet another people, they have their own way of showing their hospitality. They have their own way of showing their respect. They have their own way of showing their gratitudes. But then, when we say our culture, it's a whole, the whole package, the whole community. It's a larger than co-culture. While co-culture, they are smaller. They are under the culture. Are we clear with that?
Yes po.
Yes
Okay,
po.
question. Do you have question with this slide before we move to the next slide?
None po, ma'am.
Okay, thank you. And let's proceed to the next slide. Strategies to penetrate co-cultural world. The first is assimilation. Please read the definition. Mary Joy.
Assimilation is a strategy where a co-culture member wants to fit in or join with members of the dominant culture.
Okay, in assimilation, a member wants to go and fit in. Meaning to say, that member is new. This is new. Yeah, he or she is not a member, but he wants to be a member of that culture. That is what we call assimilation. How about accommodation? Anyone from the group? Yes. Angelica Alejo?
It's used when co-culture members attempt to maintain their cultural identity even while they strive to establish relationship with members of the dominant culture.
Okay. So in this part, they already part of one culture. But then they other culture they met another culture. Okay, let's put in this way. One culture or you're a Filipino and then you want to go to another country. But then you stay as a Filipino even while you were in that country. You didn't want to embrace the culture. You just want to know their culture. You were there uh, to establish a relationship with them, but you were staying your your current culture or your current duty. And then the last would be separation. Kindly read. Anyone from the group? Yes, Joshua?
Separation. When co-culture members employ the strategy of separation, they tend to resist interacting with the other members they considered outsider.
Okay. So in separation, they have their cultural identity. They met another uh they met another culture. They met another culture. But then they decided not to interact with them. They decided not to even know their culture. They decided to separate themselves to that culture. Meaning to say, they don't want to be part of that culture. Did you understand the definition or the difference between the three?
Yes po, ma'am.
Okay. So before we move on, since you understand this three, I have a story to tell. You want to hear it?
Yes po.
Okay. So there are three travelers. There are three travelers. They were named Charmaine, Jackie, and Mika. These three travelers, they love to travel around the world. They were best friends, but they were different from one another. Charmaine, Charmaine wants to fit in. In every country that they want to travel, she wants to fit in. She always try each and every thing that represents the culture of that country. While Jackie, on the other hand, Jackie wants to go travel with Cha also. But Jackie didn't uh didn't try any of, like, for example, their cultural dress, their food. She didn't try any of it. She did try any of it, but she didn't want to be fit in that certain country. While Mika, Mika is also their friend. She also go with there when they were touring around the world. But in the three of them, Mika doesn't want to involve herself while the others are enjoying the food, the dresses. She doesn't want to try any of it. Okay, so you will ask what is wrong with Mika? Why she doesn't want to do it, right? You will ask also them na you're already in that country, then why do you want to experience it, diba? Why you don't want? Why don't you want it? Yes, John Janus. John Janus, right? Tama ba?
Napindot lang po, ma'am.
Okay, okay. Okay. So among those three people or those three travelers, who do you think is the is part of accommodation?
Ako po, ma'am.
Yes, Joshua?
Jackie po.
Jackie. Why?
Kasi po, hindi niya po tinatry, hindi niya po gustong subukan yung mga culture at yung mga kung ano pa po doon.
Yes, you're right. She doesn't want to try, but she is there to see, to establish relationship with them. But he maintains her cultural identity. How about Charmaine?
Assimilation po.
Yes, Giselle?
Assimilation po.
Assimilation, why?
Kasi po ma'am, she wants to fit in po every country po na pupuntahan nila. Gusto niya po i-try.
Yes, very good. In assimilation, you wants to fit in. She wants to fit in every country that she wants to. Meaning to say, she wants to adopt all the cultures that uh, that that they see or that they see. How about Mika? Yes, Geraldine?
Separation po, ma'am. Kasi ayaw niya pong i-involve yung sarili niya sa any activities po na ginagawa ng friends niya po.
Yes, very good. So meaning to say, you already understand the difference of these three. The assimilation, accommodation, and separation. So do you have further questions regarding to this slide? So we can move to the another.
None po.
Okay, thank you. Let's proceed to the next slide. So ethnocentrism. It is the tendency to see own culture as superior to all others. This is also the key factors why most intercultural communication efforts fail. As a tendency, they tend to blame others for the problems to occur and they seek to maintain distance from people of different cultures, according to Edwards 2014. So based on the definition and based on the picture below, as you can see, did you notice the picture?
Yes po.
One white people said, "You, go back to Africa." He is pointing to this black African. While in the second, he says to the Mexican that go back to Mexico. I don't know. Maybe this person or the white person doesn't know or doesn't how to speak in India. That's why he doesn't say anything. But based on her look, he wants to say the same with the first two picture. So in this picture or in this illustration, what do you think is ethnocentrism?
Ma'am, ako po.
Yes, Geraldine.
Ma'am, yung ethnocentrism po is yung feeling mo po yung culture mo is dominant sa lahat po. Katulad po niyan yung sa ano po, sa being white. Feeling, hindi na, ano po, feeling, as in nangyayari po talaga siya until now, yung mga white po is, feeling nila superior sila sa ibang skin colors. Katulad po niyan yung sa African, yung black skin tone, yung sa Mexican, tsaka po, I think po this one is, yung sa third picture po is Native American.
Okay.
Yun. Nagkaiba lang po sila sa skin color, pero they are the same American po. Tapos, yun nga po, they feel superior po above others.
Yes, you're right. Ethnocentrism, they feel that they were the highest. They feel that they were superior. They were the greatest or they were the highest among all the cultures or all among the other group of people. In ethnocentrism, sadly to say, in this part of culture, discrimination is still present. Why? It's because we don't want to interact with them. We don't want them to be part of our culture. We already disregard them as part of the community or as part of our community or the white community. Meaning to say, as white, they think themselves as the highest. They think themselves as they were the best. So that is ethnocentrism. The next would be cultural relativism. It is the opposite of ethnocentrism. When people experience cultural relativism, they view the group to which they belong as superior to all others. They tend to understand behavior of other groups on the basis of the content in which the behavior occurs rather than the frame of reference. So in cultural relativism, from the word relativism, relates, relative, meaning to say, they aren't looking about the frame. They aren't looking about the physical appearance. They aren't looking of how you look. In cultural relativism, they were looking about what they are looking on the behaviors. They were looking on how they will interact with one another. Even when you look at the picture or the illustration on the side, the other girl, you can see that she is covered from head to toe. And the other girl, she's just wearing her bikini, right? But then they were thinking the same. They were thinking the same. It only means, or it only shows that cultural relativism, it doesn't see you it doesn't see you as the cover of the book. It doesn't see you as the cover of the book. Cultural relativism look at you based on your content, based on your based on the content of your book, based on the knowledge that are relies on the book. Meaning to say, they are looking into the person and not just their physical preferences. That is the reason why we have what do we call discrimination. We were looking upon the physical frame of the person. And that is the difference between cynicism and cultural relativism. Did you get it? The difference between the two? Are we clear with this one?
Yes po.
Okay, thank you. Let's proceed to the next slide. Cultural pluralism. In cultural pluralism, please kindly read, anyone?
Advocate.
Yes, Arlene?
Cultural pluralism advocates respect for cultural uniqueness, tolerance for differences, and adherence to the principle of cultural diversity.
Okay, thank you. Next, kindly read also, Christian.
Cultural pluralism. Ano po? In a multicultural society, every group is believed to be differently okay since this difference will shape each country's future.
Okay. So in cultural pluralism, it accepts that each and every one of us is different from one another. That each and every group is different from one another. Their beliefs, their traits, their traditions, their religions, they were all different from one another. But all of them, they respect one's another culture. Meaning to say, you don't have to fit in. You don't have to assimilate with so assimilate, or you don't want to be part of them, but then you respect each and every culture that you you doesn't discriminate, you doesn't look down on the another culture. In cultural pluralism, it shows what? It shows acceptance. Acceptance of who you are, acceptance of what you believe, and acceptance of oneself. So that is cultural pluralism. So any questions about cultural pluralism?
Wala po.
Okay, thank you. Now let's proceed to the next slide. So cultural differences influence all international communication. Even the choice of communication medium can have cultural effects. Determining factor may not be the degree of industrialization, but rather whether the country falls into high content or low content culture. So meaning to say, when we interact with other culture, it will fall under high content or low content culture. So what do we mean by low content or high content culture? High content. A high content refers to societies or groups where people have close connections over a long period of time. Meaning to say, in high content, you were connecting with other people. You were communicating with them for a long period of time. Meaning to say, you were friends. You were friends. Meaning to say, you were friends. You've known each other for a long time. Rather than in low context. Low context refers to societies where people tend to have many connections, but of shorter duration or for some specific reason. So in low content, this is what do we call that? We know them, we are colleagues with them, but we aren't friends with them. Colleagues and friends, that is two different different word or different definition. When you were friends with someone, you've known him maybe not so long, but you've known the person deeper. Unlike when you were colleague with someone, the knowledge you have with that person is very low. Okay, did you understand the difference between the high content and low content culture? In high, there's a deep connection within a long period of time. Unlike in the low content, you've known the person but not that so long, or you've known them just uh because of a specific reason. Okay?
Okay po, ma'am.
Thank you, Mark. Okay, so under high content, association. So like what we've said earlier, that in high content, the relationship build a slow and depend on trust. Meaning to say, when we are associated with trust, there's a deep connection between two individuals, or uh, two group of peoples. The next is interaction to be engaging is observed through the use of indirect verbal messages. So, when it comes to interaction, we can use verbal and non-verbal communication with them. Meaning to say, we just yeah, you both of you know when I do this. You already know. If you were my friend, then when you look at me with this look, you already know what is meant to me and what is that meant to you. Meaning to say, both of you have the understanding of what is already happening. That that is one way of interacting with the high content culture. With just a single move, with just a single signal, or with just a signal, you will know what is the message or what that person wants to tell. The next is Territoriality. Space is communal. When we say communal, meaning to say anyone, communal. Okay. When we say space is communal, uh, it is a space meant for everyone. It is meant, like for example, dito, in sa may ang tawag communal
For a
small
common use.
area. Sorry.
Communal is a space for a common use.
Yes, can be. So, when we say communal, meaning to say, this isn't private. The space is for everyone. I am not saying that, oh, okay, public places. There is no privacy in communal space. Like for example, in Luneta. Luneta is a communal space. Another is the slum area. Do you know what a slum area is? Tama ba? Hello? Are you still there? Yes, Mark Ann?
Nai-chat ko na po, ma'am, sa message.
Okay. Sorry. Kilit ka ba? Teka lang. Okay. According to Mark Ann, shared all members of community for common use. Okay. Common use. Common CR. You see, common CR o kaya public restroom. Those are the communal space. Meaning to say, there is no specific owner. Ay, mali. Next is temporality. Everything has its own time and time is not easily scheduled. Meaning to say, there is an end. Oh, how sad. There is an end. There's no forever. So meaning to say, everything has its own time. There is an end. Even though the relationship is good, that it is deeper, there is always an end. Okay?
Copy
Get?
po, ma'am.
Okay po.
So that
Okay
is
po.
temporality. We need to say nothing is permanent in this world. Are we all agree with that? That there is nothing permanent in this world?
Yes po.
Right, di ba?
Parang hugot po yun ng mga bitter, wala daw pong
Dati
forever.
po kayo ng jowa mo. Ay, sorry.
Okay. So next would be learning. Of course, learning, multiple sources of information are used. When we were talking about high content, we were using different resources, multiple resources. Thinking to proceed specific is to accurately learn, group participants observe, model, demonstrate, and participate. Meaning to say, in learning, deep din, syempre. When in learning, it has different, it needs different information for what? Of course, for validity. You need multiple resources of information for validity. Why? Because we were using it for a long period of time. We can't use we can't use a thing that is only for dry run and then we will give it to the public. Meaning to say that this learning, it needs a deep mm, it needs a deep learning. It needs many resources and informations and data to be gathered. It's because we were going to use it for a long period of time. Did you understand what is high content?
Apa, ma'am.
Okay, very good. Napaka-active naman ni Mark. An talaga. Okay, next. Low content. Of course, if we have high content, we have low content. In low content, learning. In learning, one source of information is used. Why? Why? Why do you think? Why do you think one resources is enough? I mean, one resource or one source is enough. Yes, Harvey Cruz. Yes, Harvey.
Ano po kasi, parang once lang po siya mangyayari, once lang po siya gagamitin, kaya po hindi na po natin kailangan yung source na pamatagalan po.
100% correct. Very good. Okay. In low content, like what we've said earlier, that we were using it for a short period of time. That's why one source is enough. Next is temporality. Events and tasks are scheduled and to be done at a particular time. Meaning to say, like for example, our class is within 3 hours and then it will be done after 3 hours and then it's ended. That's it. The next, territoriality. Space is compartmentalized. When we say compartmentalized, it is private. We need to have some privacy. So, that is the difference between low and content. In high content, it is commonly used by the public or it is shared by all the members in the community, while in low content, it is private. It is used by specific people. Like for example, our Google Meet. Our link or our code in our Google Meet is exclusively for what? For BSED Science and Math 1 only. That's because we are conducting this, you have this time only meant for you. Okay? That is for territoriality. The next is interaction. In interaction, non-verbal elements are not significant. Meaning to say, if I do this, do that, and then this.
Parang
Okay.
sign na naman.
Diba? After I do that, did you think of anything about it? Did you think anything about it when I do this and then this and then did you
Yes,
learn
ma'am.
anything? Okay. What did you learn about that, Brian?
It's a sort of you're catching our attention po. To be attentive po.
Well, probably that can be correct. But in interaction, meaning to say, you were just guessing. You were just guessing of what is my intention. But that isn't really my intention when I do that. So, meaning to say, there should, magkakaroon ng miscommunication if we were doing non-verbal elements or non-verbal signals in low content culture. Then last would be association. Relationship begin and end quickly. Ah, how sad. Short time. when we were talking about in a relationship, low content is short time. Meaning to say you need to begin and end that relationship quickly. How sad, no? They need to end
Parang
1 month, two
lang po
month.
yan, pero hindi tinadhana.
Exactly. Okay, you have questions with low and high content culture?
Wala na po, ma'am.
Okay, let's proceed. So as you can see, this is already what we've discussed. This is the difference between high content culture and low content culture. In like what we've said earlier, that indirect communication is for high content and direct and specific communication would be for low content. Why? In high content, indirect communication, I can use not so formal words while I am talking to you, since I am teaching you. But in low content culture, it should be direct and specific. Why? Because we only have a short period of time. There is what do we call time frame. That's why we need to be direct and specific when it comes to communication, when it comes to communicating with other people. Next would be fewer words, more non-verbal clues. So, and then low content culture, high values on words rather than non-verbal clues. Okay. Do you have questions with the second line? I think we've already through with this. Questions?
None po, ma'am.
Okay, let's proceed to the third, which is simple and ambiguous message. Unlike in low content culture, structured message and technical details. The next would be in the fourth, very verbal people seen as unattractive, informal, frequent smile, and irrequent smiling associated with nervousness. In low content culture, we use of hand gestures and facial expressions. Based on the first four difference of high content and low content culture, we can say that in high content culture, we are less formal rather than in low content culture. In low content culture, more likely, you were talking to your supervisor, you were talking with someone who is higher with you, or like for example, a president is talking to a president. That is a low content culture. Why in high content culture, most likely you were talking with your friends, your family. That is the difference. Then next would be preference to long-term relationship and temporary personal relationship underlying the message. Okay, then the six is the long-term view of time and then short-term view of time in low-content culture. So, nasabi na natin kanina yan. Next, the difference again. In high-content culture, appointments are generally considered flexible. Meaning to say, you don't need a certain appointment just to talk to that person or to that specific group of people. While in low content culture, emphasis on appointments, on time management of schedules, and punctuality is given high preference. Meaning to say, in low content, they need appointments. They, like for example, you were talking to your, like for example, You were talking to your supervisor. Of course, you need to get you need to get an appointment, or you look for the time in where he or she is available for you to talk with them. That is in low content culture. Next, in high content culture, anyone from the group, please read. Regina de la Cruz.
High context culture. Appointments are generally considered flexible. Budge and non-confrontational language focus on getting a job done being is preferred. Honor and respect more important than business, adjourn power and position. Private networks are used to obtain information. Values family and group authority.
Okay, continue to the low content.
Low context culture. Emphasis on appointment on time, management of schedules, and punctuality is given high preference. Specific and goal attainment. Personal relationships not considered that much. Ideas and people are assumed as equals. Information is made accessible, readily shared with others, and individualism is valued.
Okay, thank you very much, Regina. So to sum it all, high content culture is more likely you were talking, or you were engaging, or you were interacting with your friends, your family. You were doing it as yourself. While in low content culture, there is what we call formality. There is what do we call professionalism. Because we were talking to the person, we were talking to that person in a specific reason why we are interacting with that person because of a specific reason. That is the difference between high content culture and low content culture. In high content, it is less formal. In low content, more likely it is formal. High content, it builds a long relationship. In low content, it's build a short. It is meant to be. It is meant to begin and end at the same time. Ah, how sad. Okay. Do you have any questions? Questions?
Wala na po.
Okay.
Opo.
Are you sure? Are you sure? Are you sure?
Opo.
Okay. If you don't have questions, we will have an activity. Don't worry. This activity is easy as a pie. Easy as pie. Para sa inyo. Okay. Okay, so for our activity, I want you to think of a word that is related to our topic for today, which is culture, but no one is allowed to repeat the word which is already given. I will send a link at our chat box. You were going. Okay. You are going to type your answer in the link I've given to you at the chat box. And then I will see all your answers in here. You can start now. Oh, okay. Let's see. No one is allowed to. one is allowed to repeat. You were all
Ma'am,
90. Yes.
ano po ulit yung tanong?
You will think a word that is related to culture. Any word that you would think that is related to culture.
Thank you po.
Okay. Welcome. I will wait for the others until 7:08. Still have 2 minutes. We are 48 in here. 56. Last 2
nag-submit na
minutes.
po ba?
Yes, all the words that are written.
Ma'am, na-receive nyo na po?
Yes po. Okay, last 2 minutes.
Ma'am, nasend na po ba yung akin?
Yes po.
Ma'am, kasi po ma'am, pag-send ko, pag-submit ko nawala.
Okay na po yun.
Thank you.
Ma'am, yung akin po.
Yes po.
Okay na po.
Ma'am, saan po isa-send?
Our chat box, there is a link.
Ma'am, wala
Sent
po.
English Educators for Development. Sorry. Kalingap. Okay, I will resend the link.
Thank you
Ma'am,
po.
na-receive niyo na po.
It's menti.com. We'll see.
Ma'am, na-receive niyo na po. Yung akin.
Yes po.
Thank you po.
Sino ka po?
Ako po.
Apo.
Thank you po.
Welcome po. Okay, it's already 7:08.
Ma'am, may question po ako.
Yes po.
Ma'am, paano po pagka meron po palang nakatulad na word po? Paano po malalaman kung ako po ba yung nakapag-submit ng word na yon or yung iba po?
Meron po ako, may lalabas po dito sa may gilid. Kung sino po yung mga, po. Okay, sige, okay na. Hayaan na natin kung magdoble yung sa inyo. Since time's up naman and then everyone participated, that would be enough. Because this activity is just part of our evaluation part, in our evaluation part, you need to answer the question. You need to make, in our evaluation part, you need to make a reflection paper. Oh, there's no negative reaction, ha? Okay. So, you need to make a research. You need to make a reflection paper on how the diversity affects the culture based on the words you were given earlier in this activity. Here is the link of our Google form. You are all allowed to send your answer until Wednesday. Is that okay with you? Hi everyone, are you still there?
Hanggang kailan po, ma'am?
Until Wednesday, my dear.
Sige
Ma'am,
po, thank you.
ma'am, excuse me po. Yung ano po, yung may ano po ba to? Naka-base po siya dun sa word po na sinubmit po namin.
Sorry?
Naka-base po siya dun sa word po na sinubmit namin or dito po sa as in, sa lahat
As
po
a
ng
whole.
words.
As a
Okay
whole.
po.
Don't worry, I will send a screenshot of this for you to have to have a basis.
Ma'am, excuse po.
Yes, Brian?
Ma'am, the link po ba will be sent to our Google Classroom po?
Yes, I will send it also in our Google Classroom.
Thank you po, ma'am. Noted po.
You're welcome. Any other questions?
Ma'am, pwede rin po ba pa-send po ng PowerPoint sa Google Classroom? Thank you po.
Yes, I will, Kim. Any other questions? Violet reactions? So, none? Are you sure?
Ma'am, recorded po pala to kung ano po yung pinagsasabi ko.
Yes, it is recorded, Mark. Questions, none?
Wala na po, ma'am.
Okay, thank you. I will give the floor to Ma'am Diane. Thank you everyone for participating and listening.
Thank you so
Thank
much
you
po, ma'am.
po.
Thank you po,
Thank you po.
ma'am.
Thank you
Thank you
po,
po.
ma'am.
Thank you po.
Okay, hi everyone.
Thank you po, ma'am.
How are you?
Hello, ma'am.
Hello, ma'am. Hello.
Hello po, ma'am.
Hello po, ma'am. Bakit, Mark, hindi mo alam na recorded to? Kailan tayo nagklaseng hindi recorded? Si Mark. Okay. This week, you have Ma'am Gryzel. And then the following week, you will have another teacher. Then you will have your midterm examination. Okay? So the topics, I'll give you the dates and everything. Don't worry, everything. All of the things that Ma'am Gryzel shared to you will be given to you, including all of the links and everything. Don't worry about that. Tapos, pati sa midterm, don't worry about that. And next week, you will have a different teacher. But of course, since AOL naman kayo, next week wala. Okay, so ano naman yon? Yung parang you may or may not join. Okay, same naman. Then the following week, midterm tayo, pero hindi ko siya synchronous siya, pero hindi ko kayo pagbubukas ng Google Meet. Okay? Naka-ano siya, pero naka-time lang talaga. Okay? Para, ala din sayang din pag kasi nag-start na kayo magsagot ng ibang device, nawawala din naman, nagre-remove kayo. So, ibahin na lang natin. So, your examination next week, of course, will be from Ma'am Gryzel's class. All of the, from the beginning, ibigay ko sa inyo yung pointers, but if you want to have an advanced study, lahat ng kasama sa PowerPoint, mula umpisa, kasama yung kay Ma'am Gryzel, and also the following teachers afterwards, yung isa. So you have another topic before the midterm examination. So please be ready. And thank you. I'm actually very happy kasi tinitignan ko yung chat box nyo. And also yung nagto-turn on ng mic. Very good. Kayo ay nagpa-participate. And of course, at least now you could see what you will do in the future. As a future teacher, okay? You will do this as well if hindi pa okay sa pandemic. So they are student teachers, they are future teachers, and thank you for participating with their class. So okay naman, very comprehensive naman ang lesson. Okay, so I am so happy. And do you have any questions? Clarifications? Okay, mukhang wala naman. Alam ko pagod na kayo and pagod na rin sila Ma'am Gryzel. So the rest of the class, you may now leave the group and kami na lang may iwan ni Ma'am Gryzel dito. Thank you and have a good night. Kumain na kayo at magpahinga.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you po.
Thank you po, ma'am.